Bernardo Silva with an assist from Doku made it 2, and then a Doku shot flicked off the back of Akanji, and it was 3 at half time. Haaland hobbled off, we think with just probably a precautionary substitution. Foden came on and scored to make it 4-0 in the 64th minute. Again Doku assisted. Sinisterra pulled it back to 4-1, but the Blues still had 2 more goals up their sleeve. Doku with a through ball to Bernardo Silva, who made it 5-1, and then a lovely low ball in by Oscar Bob was headed in by former Bournemouth defender Nathan Ake, and City had 6 of the best, and they moved to the top of the Premier League table. The final score at the Etihad Stadium: City 6, Bournemouth 1. Well, let's go back to the studio where we can join Curle, Steve Howey, Joleon Lescott and Cel Spellman.
Welcome back to the Matchday Live studio in the Etihad Stadium. It's finished Manchester 6, Bournemouth 1. 3 points secured, and the Manchester City boys, they ran a riot here to dig into all the action. We've got Steve Howey, Joleon Lescott and Curle. Joleon 3-0 at half-time. Finished 6-1. I mean, it kind of stuck to the order of the first half. Bournemouth a little bit more improved, but couldn't do much, could they, against that City team today?
No, a better second half performance from Bournemouth, and a scoreline that Keith didn't predict before the game. So obviously a very professional performance. Even when it was comfortable, like second half, again Bournemouth had a spell, but as soon as they got the fourth, then it was kind of like, yeah, let's continue to do the right things, and that's all you can be pleased from a City perspective, if they didn't take the foot off the pedal or be unprofessional in their performance.
When the second half started, did you feel, though, we were saying what can Bournemouth do to try and at least, put themselves back in the game? And I felt like they did that a little bit in the second half.
They came out, and I think they upped their tempo. I think they had a more, rather than just being happy with possession, they had a forward-thinking mentality, and I thought they came out and they started the second half very well. In fact, they even they had the goal disallowed, and they hit the crossbar, and you're thinking that's the warning signs that they still believe that they were still in the game. And then goals change games, goals change mentality. So the fourth goal goes in, but even then 4-1, you're thinking Ederson was fuming, loves his clean sheets, and you can see Pep on the side of the line. He wasn't happy with the goal against, but then goals change games, momentum changes. But again, to be honest, you have a look. They're 2 different levels, completely 2 different levels within the same division, and that's not a disgrace to Bournemouth. That's what they've got to aspire to, where they've got to maintain their level of improvement.
Yeah. Speaking of, game-changing players, we just saw him on the screen there. Man of the match here in the stadium. 1 goal, 4 assists. There's a member of the team here who's got him in his fantasy football team, so I'm sure he'll be very happy. But Jeremy Doku, we spoke about him half-time before the game. Unbelievable performance from him today, Steve.
Yeah, fantastic performance. All the pats on the back and accolades that I get after today's game is well deserved. Because you have sometimes feel a little bit sorry for the fullback, because he just doesn't know to take twist left, right, up, down. He doesn't know what he's going to have nightmares about that. I think probably the best thing for that defender to do is just try and just block that out of his mind and get on, because it could cause him kind of a lot of serious thoughts in his ability if he's coming up against somebody like him week in, week out. But he was absolutely superb. As I said, even the second half he continues. He plays in Phil Foden for his goal, which was great control by Phil, and then eventually stick it away. And then it's a great ball to Bernardo Silva. I have to say, Bernardo Silva's goal was just absolutely gorgeous to watch. Yeah. That just, for me, I think he's a wizard anyway. I think he's just a wonderful player, but just to watch it, live and see how good he actually is, just the composure he had and the dink over the goalkeeper. Wow, I just wished it hit the back of the net.
Yes,
rather than the lad clearing it. But wow, what a player!
World class. Before we go work through the goals, just focusing on the man of the match. What I really enjoyed about seeing today is obviously we've seen his one-on-one ability, and as I say, I'm already looking forward to the compilation of him putting defenders on the backside. But we seem to see in his game today, there was the pass for Bernardo, beautiful vision. There were other elements that I'd not really seen. His all-round game today, Joleon, not just his dribbling and taking on, his finishing, his passing, his vision was second to none.
It's decision-making. I think that's what makes the players top and great, is the difference between the decisions and recognising what the action is required, whether it's not just a dribble. He could have drove at his fullback for Bernardo's goal. He could have drove at him and created space and created a 1v1, but the opportunity was to put Bernardo in, and to see that is one thing to play, and then to make that selfless decision in regards to making an assist and making an opportunity for your team. So yeah, his all-round performance was great, because every time he got the ball, he did the right things, even if he didn't come off. Again, a lot of fans and people in this industry, media, we judge off outcomes, and it isn't that. It's a case of, well, what should he have done?
Yes.
And if he does that more often than not, the positive outcomes tend to come.
Does it feel, I mean, obviously it depends on the opponent, but given that performance today and actually over the last few weeks, has he kind of put himself as kind of one of them first names on the team sheet at the moment, do you think, Keane?
I don't think he's coming here with that this particular time now that he wants to start. Well, he will want to start every week, but he won't have the expectation of starting every week because of the quality that's within the squad. But again, his mindset will be, when needed, I know what I've got to deliver. This is what I'm in the team to do. And again, I think the more and more players the other players get an understanding of what his end product is going to be, he will grow in stature. And again, you earn respect as a player, and your final pass and your final decision can be massive in that, because people then start making movements off of you because they know what you're going to do. So when you become familiar with a teammate, excellent.
God, that's very exciting to hear. Joleon, for defending against him, I mean, Steve, before the game you spoke about, obviously when he squares people up and the stopping and the going is kind of almost unplayable, but how do you go about trying to defend a player like Doku? Because we're seeing a lot of fullbacks struggling, you know.
Yeah, you are, and his ability to go both ways will continue to happen. But what I would be saying, if I was defending or if I was working with the defenders, you'd say make it more predictable for your teammate. You may not be able to stop him, but okay, don't let him come inside. I know it's easy to say, and from ex-players' point of view, you can make that apparent to your teammate by standing in an obvious position. So he's only going to go down the line. It might be easier for him to beat you down the line, but then your teammate can pick up a position off the back of that, rather than just saying, well, I'm going to try and defend you. He takes you one way, then he goes another, and then no one's able to be in the right position because he's kind of destroyed your whole setup, where if you set up and say, this is the only way you're going to go. Like, you're only going to beat me down the line, and make it apparent. And it may be obvious, and he may get more kind of joy by beating you that way, but your teammates can react to that.
So, yeah, you're kind of putting him where you want him in a way. Let's look at then the goals from the second half. Obviously, it was 3-0 at half time. As you said, the Bournemouth scored pretty quickly, but that was offside, disallowed. Phil Foden had come on, hopefully just a precautionary thing for Erling Haaland. And I mean, he played the pass and scored the goal. And there's a great stat here. He's been involved in 14 goals across his last 15 Premier League starts at the Etihad. He scored 9 and assisted a further 5. So now we can put that to score in 10. It was a beautiful move, and great to see him again on the score sheet, Steve.
It was, yeah. I mean, it's Phil that picks the ball up initially, and he tries to play. Well, he plays the ball out to Doku. It's actually not the best of passes, and it really should be cut out. But as it is, it gets through to Doku. He does the rest. As I said, he's running at defenders, not necessarily quick, but they're backing off, and before you know it, he's pretty much in the box. Now you down and touch him.
Yeah.
So then he comes inside and he plays it to Phil, who takes 1 touch, 2 touch, then moves it again and then fires it in. He's got it this side of the defender as well. So the defender's the other side of him. He's got no chance of making the challenge. And basically smashes it past the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's got zero chance. I mean, the camera went onto him, the goalkeeper, and I think his words was unbelievable. Yeah. I think it could have been a lot worse, to be fair. But the goalkeeper's got absolutely no chance. And to be fair, again, like we sort of said at half time, I don't think they've done anything majorly wrong, Bournemouth. But unfortunately, you're playing against top players.
They were knocking on the door, Keith, you said as well. There was a Solanke brilliant, well taken shot off the crossbar. But then they got the goal. They got looked at for offside. I think it was very tight, wasn't. How could City have defended? Could they have defended that better? Because as we said, Pep wasn't best pleased, nor Edison.
No, again, I'm trying to. I think there was the initial pass out wide. I thought that was the one that they were checking for the offside, but then it was the crossfield pass that. The cross into the middle of the goal, they were checking that for offside. And again, it was marginal, but it was onside. It was a good ball in, good finish at a touch. You'd probably say, if anything, can the defenders give yourself 1 more yard rather than gambling on an offside decision or a VAR decision? It's one of those. Give yourself 1 more yard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For our next goal, Joleon, we mean probably very close to getting man of the match, but when a player gets 4 assists and a goal and tears defences apart, you understand why. But Bernardo Silva, Steve said it, world class, and talk us through that goal.
Again, the quality from Doku, and then it's not something you tend to see Bernardo do. He's kind of run large distances with the ball, and again, he's not the quickest, in the greatest respect to him, but the defender got back, Lloyd Kelly. But what he did was then slow him down, so he then kind of made it a fair fight. So now you're slowing, and his reaction is always going to be quicker than the defenders because he has that kind of agility. And if you look, he doesn't touch the ball. He stops, slows his body down, goes to move inside. As soon as he sees the defender move inside, he goes line again, and then it's too late. And I said, from an ex-defender's point of view, as soon as a smaller player does that, a more agile player, you have no recovery, and then he has the composure to just settle himself down and just think it over the keeper. I think he was aware what he was going to do before he'd even got into that situation.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a case of, oh, now I'm here, what do I do? It was like, I'm going to do this, create this space. As soon as I've got this space, I know where the space is after that, and he was above the goalie. And
that's kind of one of, I mean, there's so many great attributes to his game, but his speed of thought and actually how many steps ahead he is throughout the 90 minutes is arguably one of his greatest assets.
Yeah, I think there's a level of composure and players that see the game at their speed, and he's definitely one of them. And David Silva was someone very similar. It was kind of like you can play the game at a certain speed and a tempo, but they are just so far advanced, and it's in slow motion. It's like the Matrix. It's like literally they're just moving at their own pace, and they could be moving at 100 miles an hour physically, but mentally they're so composed.
Yeah, it sounds like a little cheat code, isn't it? Ben, we're thinking is that it, but no, it's absolutely not. We had a few changes as well between there. Nunes came on, great to see Calvin Phillips on the pitch as well, Rico Lewis and young Oscar Bob as well, which we said we'd like to see, and he pops up with a little assist there at the end, Steve, with a bullet header from Nathan Ake.
Yeah, Oscar Bob showed some great movement because he's kind of like half stood and then he makes the run. It's a great little slide pass. He just whips it across Nathan Ake. We all know he's good in the box, but it's normally in the air. But he does really well, holds the defender off nice and strong. And again, another fantastic header where the goalkeeper's got absolutely no chance. I'm pretty sure the goalkeeper would have probably uttered the word unbelievable. But yeah, there's no stopping them. But plays for Ake, because he does get a few goals, to be fair to him, and he's a danger from set plays, but this was in general play, so it just goes to show how far he's pushed up. But yeah, it was good to see them finish the game off on a real positive.
Just want to pick up on something you said there, actually, Steve. Set plays. Today we had 2 goals from corners and also 3 big chances created as well. So they were a real kind of important part of our game today, and it goes to show how vital set pieces can be. Great to see from corners.
Yeah, definitely. I think the other thing is, if you have a look and you analyse, this is only just done quickly, how Bournemouth was set up. They had the back zone man was the one who came out to make the third man on the edge of the box. Yes, as soon as City played it short with their 3 out, it was the back zone man from Bournemouth was the one that had to come out to go to make it 3v3. And what Ake was doing was blocking him from getting out.
I see. Okay.
So even though we're attacking, Ake's thinking, right, so my job now is I've got to stop you from going out and making it 3v3. So then, soon as it's a 3v2, they can do what they want with the ball.
Yeah.
And that goes to down that they would have seen how Bournemouth have defending their corners. And that's the attention to detail that you get.
Yes.
And then you're thinking, right, well, then you've got an advantage. Then the movement, you've got men in the final third with time and space on the ball and options.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Very dangerous, especially when it's players like Kovacic and Julian Alvarez and Bernardo Silva. There was one so close in the first half that nearly went in. Brilliant win there then. So now we turn our attention to the Champions League, Joleon. Tuesday night, 8 p.m. We'll, of course, be with you about an hour and a bit before kick-off on Match Day Live. We welcome young boys to the Etihad Stadium. Of course, 3-1 winners in the reverse fixture a couple of weeks ago. You'd like to think we've had 3 wins in 3 so far. Hopefully this will be a 4th.
Yeah, I don't see any other outcome than a win for City, formidable at home in the Champions League, and as I said, a very thorough professional performance away in the tie. So I expect nothing less, and confidence is high. Not that tends to matter for this group of players. I think they just analyse the game and go into the other game believing they can win, regardless of the previous results. So yeah, it's a daunting fixture for young boys. But again, we have to respect them because it is Champions League football.
We mentioned earlier, Haaland started the game at half-time. It was Foden that came on for him. We're not 100% sure yet. We're hoping it's maybe precautionary, but probably if there's maybe a niggle there, Steve, would you probably rest Haaland possibly against young boys, do you think?
I don't think you'd want to risk him, would you, when you've got that much talent and creativity in the team? You would expect Man City to beat them. And that is without, obviously, Haaland. So you don't want to lose a player of that importance for a good period of time. It could have been the fact of, Haaland and the manager actually speaking to each other, just sort of saying, just play 45 minutes, see how it goes. We don't know. I mean, hopefully it is a kind of just that, just get a blowout, try different things, get just using your body and all this kind of stuff, but you're coming off at half time. Let's hope it's that, but obviously, I mean, something might come out after the game with the press conference from the manager.
Yeah.
But hopefully everybody's fit, and then the manager's got pretty much a full squad to pick from.
Got a full squad to pick from, Keith, and if we do win that game, that will secure qualification. So it's a nice incentive there to get that job done. Obviously, we know City want to win every game and finish top of the group, but it's great to know that on Tuesday is once again, and Pep always says, qualifying for that next round as early as possible is key to having a good run in the Champions League.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think there'll be wholesale changes. I think that will be Pep's mindset: go out, win the game, and then make changes once you've got a few goals on the board. I think this is, like Joleon just said, you've got to be respectful, even though the opposition are probably not ones that are going to progress.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to quickly mention as well, said there about securing qualification, but also being in the Champions League year after year. We know for Pep arguably that's the most important thing and the first job on any to-do list of the season. And I mean, it's brilliant to say that's the 11th consecutive year now we've been in the Champions League and also going through to the next round, Joe. I mean, you were there right at the start when we were paving our way in that competition.
Yeah, and the format has changed dramatically since then. We were initially in there. I think we were pot 4. I think we were champions of domestically, but still pot 4. So you're having to face difficult ties and difficult teams. But again, now they're in a position where they are the team to beat and favourites for the last 4 or 5 seasons. Mm-hmm. Having little to experience in regards to other teams and other clubs in this competition. But listen, the way they play and perform, they're deserving favourites every year. And as I said, they tend to be the team to beat.
Yeah, and let me remind you, we are of course as well the current European champions. It does. It always is a lovely ring to it. Well, what an absolute treat it's been. A massive thank you as always to all the team behind the scenes, and of course to you most importantly for coming joining us and watching the show. We'll be back for that game against Young Boys. That is Tuesday night. We'll be with you for just before 7 p.m. Make sure you join us. And remember to check out all the exclusive content on the City app and City Plus. Just one final thing from me. We mentioned at the beginning of the show, we launched this year's Water Heroes Academy campaign. There are 5 brilliant projects happening around the world. It is, of course, with the global City community and our partner Xylem. We're asking you to go online. If you go to mancity.com/Water Heroes, you can cast your vote, be in with a chance to win an Erling Haaland signed shirt, and it could do absolute wonders for one of those projects. So really worth checking out. It's brilliant stuff. That's it from me tonight, though. Again, massive thank you to Steve, to Joleon, and to Keith, and I look forward to seeing you all on Tuesday night. Have a lovely evening and great weekend. It is finished Manchester City 6, Bournemouth 1. Good night.
Hey citizens, we need your help. The Water Heroes Academy is back. With 5 new water projects in 5 different cities. Led by 5 inspiring groups of young leaders. Each project is educating their community on water issues through the power of football. So they can help solve the water issues their cities face. This year's projects still need your vote. Who will win a VIP Man City visitor to their project?
It's up to you.
Choose your water hero. Vote now.